Okay, now what I'm keen to do this afternoon is to go through the second set of notes, really looking at leading professional learning about literacy. The focus of those is going to be on the actions we can take further to look at those. As we go through the discussion, Effie has prepared a PowerPoint that looks at aspects of assisting children to learn about the strategies themselves. And Bob, look, I can't remember. Bob, you're going to talk about a planning framework that you used to implement some of the high reliability strategies last year. It's or was that earlier this year? Last year. It's an excellent pathway. So if we just work through some of these ideas, I'd like to get to a point. In fact, I've got the yep. Okay, one of the issues, and I guess this was the issue that Wayne was talking about in relation to each school. A school your schools have particular knowledge of literacy now. The aim is for the school to reposition itself, and the approach that we're taking is that the school is going to reposition itself through the professional learning opportunities that you provide, and that will be done in the context of the pedagogic leadership. We probably won't get onto it today, but I would like to spend some time next time focusing on instructional leadership and what that will actually look like if it's done. The issue is, what does literacy knowledge look like? We've talked about this. We've said there is student knowledge of literacy, and there is also teacher professional knowledge of literacy. We need to focus on what each one does look like. In terms of individual teacher knowledge, the knowledge of the group, and the knowledge of the school, you are going to need to work on building all of those. Ultimately, building the knowledge of the school as a whole, and so issues to do with developing a professional learning community in your school, really working on bringing together group knowledge. We won't again get a chance to go through that today, but I want to work on that next time, and also the sorts of activities that our professional learning team needs to focus on it, and James referred to that earlier today. Last time we had a model for saying how would we describe a teacher's professional knowledge, an individual teacher's knowledge? And we've said one key aspect is, what does literacy knowledge look like? Secondly, what does the teacher know about useful teaching options? What does the teacher do? How motivated is the teacher to do it? And how well does the teacher actually embed the teaching or embed the new innovations in their teaching program? I want to use this model now to really unpack what you can do to find out what your colleagues actually know in each of those areas. Because unless you can actually tell what they know, how are you going to know where to start your teaching? How are you going to know where to come in with your innovation? This slide is really focusing on the idea that a school rests on its pedagogic capital. You don't need me to tell you that, but you know that. The more we can build the pedagogic capital for literacy, the more we can build that, the better the school is going to be implementing teaching. And obviously, those three things at least are going to be critical for that. So, if we were looking at a school, what does your school have as its code of literacy? What does it see literacy is? What does your school as a whole know about good literacy pedagogic practice? What is done systematically throughout the school in terms of literacy teaching? How motivated is the school to implement its goals? And how well does the school understand its learning context and the student demographic context and also the political context in which it operates? Now, they are big questions. I think anyone here who was able to, over the next year or two, lead their school to actually resolve those would be really worthy of the sort of salary additions I think you should get. Anyone who can lead their school to do those things, I think really deserve, because they've been a real leader, they've been out there, and they've actually done it. So what would a code of teaching practice in literacy look like in a school? It would have come from the group of teachers in the school agreeing that there are key things I would do in my teaching, so that if I went into any classroom, there would be some reasonable things that I would expect to happen. Just going around the room now, what could be some things that you would expect no teacher to oppose in terms of effective teaching? I'm not talking about discipline. Teaching. Well, I'll tell you what I think. I would say at the end of each lesson, the children will review their knowledge. The students will bring together what they know at the end of the lesson, because in that way I'm sure they're carrying out the knowledge. I would say at the beginning of each lesson, the students get their knowledge ready. Now really, who could oppose that? So Preston girls, yes, this is their code of teaching practice.
Already done.
It's great, it's great, it's good. So I'd say for guys there who do deserve a vote.
Oh yeah.
Because they've been out there and they've done it. If you think of that first diagram, they've repositioned the school. And I know you guys, I know what I've heard. The school has been repositioned. This is really what we're talking about. We're talking about being a profession